Admiral Jinwoo stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the stars. He had been fighting space battles for 20 years, but today felt different. Today, humanity would meet aliens for the first time. The message had come 3 days ago from the edge of human space. Ships unlike anything they had ever seen were coming toward Earth. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Dominion. They ruled most of the known galaxy and had done so for 3,000 years. Their ships were alive, grown from special materials that could heal themselves. Their weapons shot beams of pure energy that could melt through anything. At least that's what they claimed. Jinwoo watched the alien ships appear on his screens. They looked like giant sea creatures floating through space. Their hulls moved and shifted like living skin. Strange lights pulsed along their sides. The largest ship was bigger than any human city. It made Jinwoo's steel warship look like a small boat next to a whale. "Sir, they're sending a message," said Lieutenant Hyun-soo from his station. The young officer's voice was steady, but Jinwoo could hear the fear underneath. "Put it on screen," Jinwoo replied. The main display flickered, and an alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes, purple skin, and tentacles where a human would have hair. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into human language. "I am General Korthlan of the Galactic Dominion," the alien said. Its voice sounded bored. "You primitive beings will surrender immediately. Your crude metal ships are no match for our advanced technology. Submit now and we will allow some of you to live as our servants." Jinwoo felt anger rise in his chest. He had heard stories of other worlds that the Dominion had conquered. They turned the people into slaves and took everything of value. Entire civilizations had been wiped out for refusing to surrender. "This is Admiral Jinwoo of the Earth Defense Fleet," he replied. "We will not surrender. Earth is our home and we will defend it." General Korthlan made a sound that the computer said was laughter. "Your metal ships amuse us, little human. We stopped using such primitive materials 1,000 years ago. Our bioships are far superior. They can repair themselves and grow stronger during battle. Your steel cannot even scratch our hulls." The alien general looked at something off-screen, then back at Jinwoo. "We will give you one final chance. Surrender or we will destroy you all." "Never," Jinwoo said firmly. The alien's 4 eyes narrowed. "Then you will learn why the Dominion rules the galaxy." The transmission ended. Jinwoo turned to his crew. They were all young humans born and raised on Earth's space stations. They had trained their whole lives for this moment, though none of them had believed it would really come. "All ships, this is Admiral Jinwoo," he said into his communicator. "The aliens have rejected our peaceful intentions. Prepare for battle." Captain Da-Yun's voice came through the radio from her ship, the UES Thunderbolt. "Sir, our scouts report enemy movement. They're positioning their fleet in attack formation." Jinwoo nodded. "Send the emergency signal to Earth Command. Tell them the Dominion has chosen war." The battle that followed was short and terrible. The Dominion ships moved forward slowly, confident in their power. Their biohulls rippled with energy as weapons charged up. When they fired, beams of bright plasma shot across space toward the human fleet. Jinwoo watched in horror as the energy weapons hit his ships. The steel hulls glowed red-hot where the beams struck them. Some ships exploded immediately. Others tried to return fire with their railguns and missile systems, but their weapons seemed to have no effect on the alien ships. The Dominion vessels had shields made of energy that stopped the human projectiles before they could reach the biohulls. The few missiles that got through hit the alien ships but caused no visible damage. The living hulls simply absorbed the explosions and healed themselves within seconds. "Sir, we're losing ships fast," Captain Da-Yun reported. Her voice crackled with static as her ship took damage. "Our weapons aren't working. The aliens are too strong," Jinwoo gritted his teeth. Earth's fleet was being destroyed and there was nothing he could do about it. The Dominion had been right. Human technology was no match for their advanced bioships. "All ships retreat to Earth," he ordered. "We need to warn the colonies, but it was too late for many of them." As the human fleet tried to escape, the alien ships pursued them. More energy beams lanced out, destroying ship after ship. By the time the survivors reached Earth, only 6 ships remained out of the original 20. The news got worse over the following days. The Dominion didn't just attack Earth's fleet. They also struck the human colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. The colonies had no defenses against the alien bioships. Millions of people died in the attacks. On Mars, the colonists tried to hide in underground tunnels. The alien ships simply melted the ground above them with their energy weapons. On Europa, people fled to the ice caves beneath the surface. The Dominion ships cracked the moon's crust and let the ocean freeze everyone inside. Earth's leaders met in emergency session. President Namgil sat at a table with military commanders, scientists, and politicians from around the world. The mood was dark. "We can't fight them," General Taejun said bluntly. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Maybe we should consider surrender." "No," said Dr. Yuna, Earth's chief scientist. "We've seen what happens to species that surrender to the Dominion. They become slaves or get wiped out completely." President Namgil looked tired. The attacks had aged him years in just a few days. "What other choice do we have? Our weapons don't work against their ships." Admiral Jinwoo had been quiet during the meeting, but now he spoke up. "There might be another way. Something we've been working on in secret." Everyone turned to look at him. "What are you talking about?" the president asked. "Project Steel Wall," Jinwoo said. "We've been building it for 50 years, ever since we first detected alien signals from deep space." "We knew this day might come," Dr. Yuna frowned. "I've never heard of any Project Steel Wall." "Only a few people know about it," Jinwoo explained. "It's hidden in the asteroid belt beyond Jupiter. We've been preparing for exactly this kind of attack." General Taejun looked skeptical. "If this project exists, why didn't we use it during the battle?" "Because it wasn't ready yet," Jinwoo said. "And because we needed to see what the aliens could do. Now we know their strengths and weaknesses." "What weaknesses?" President Namgil asked. "They destroyed our entire fleet." Jinwoo smiled for the first time since the attacks began. "They're too confident. They think their energy weapons and bioships make them unbeatable. But they've forgotten something important." "What's that?" Dr. Yuna asked. "Sometimes the old ways work best," Jinwoo said. "They've spent so long perfecting energy weapons that they've forgotten how to deal with simple, basic force." He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at Earth's scarred surface. Smoke still rose from the cities that had been attacked. "The Dominion ships can heal from energy damage and their shields stop most projectiles," he continued. "But what if we hit them with something they can't heal from? Something moving so fast and hitting so hard that their biohulls can't absorb it?" General Taejun was beginning to understand. "You're talking about kinetic weapons. Pure force." "Exactly," Jinwoo said. "Steel and tungsten moving at incredible speeds. No energy to absorb, no fancy technology to counter, just simple physics." President Namgil looked hopeful for the first time in days. "How long before the Steel Wall project is ready?" "Give me 2 weeks," Jinwoo said. "Then we'll show the Dominion what human engineering can really do." Outside, alien ships patrolled Earth's skies, confident in their victory. They had no idea that humanity's real response was still being prepared in the cold darkness beyond Jupiter. The war was just beginning. 2 weeks later, Admiral Jinwoo stood in a command center buried deep inside an asteroid. Around him, hundreds of engineers and technicians worked at control panels that hummed with activity. Through the thick windows, he could see something that would have amazed anyone from Earth. Stretching out into space were 2,000 ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were not sleek or beautiful like the Dominion's bio-vessels. Instead, they looked like floating fortresses made entirely of steel and tungsten. Each ship was covered in thick armor plating that could stop a direct hit from a nuclear weapon. Engineer Boram walked up to Jinwoo with a tablet in her hands. She had spent the last 20 years designing these ships, working in secret with teams scattered across the solar system. "Admiral, all ships report ready for deployment," she said. "The magnetic acceleration systems are working perfectly. We can launch projectiles at 30% of light speed." Jinwoo nodded. The magnetic systems were Boram's greatest achievement. Instead of using explosives to fire weapons, the human ships used powerful magnets to accelerate metal projectiles to incredible speeds. The aliens had never seen anything like it. "What about ammunition supplies?" Jinwoo asked. "Each ship carries 10,000 rounds of tungsten penetrators," Boram replied, "plus guided missiles with steel warheads. We've been mining asteroids for 50 years to build up our stockpiles." Captain Sungmin approached from another part of the command center. His ship, the Iron Thunder, was one of the largest in the fleet. It carried weapons powerful enough to crack open a small moon. "Sir, the scouts report that Dominion ships are still patrolling near Earth," Sungmin said. "They think they've won. Most of their fleet has moved on to attack other human colonies." Jinwoo felt anger burn in his chest. While they had been preparing their response, the aliens had continued their attacks. The colonies on Proxima Centauri and Wolf 359 had been destroyed. Millions more humans were dead. How many enemy ships remain in the Earth system? he asked. About 200, Sungmin replied. They're confident that Earth can't fight back. Dr. Yuna joined the group. She had been working with the fleet's scientists to analyze the Dominion ships they had captured data on during the first battle. Admiral, we've finished studying the alien technology, she said. Their bioships are amazing at dealing with energy weapons. They can absorb plasma beams and use the energy to make themselves stronger. But they have a major weakness. What kind of weakness? Jinwoo asked. They've evolved beyond physical armor, Dr. Yuna explained. For centuries, they've fought enemies that use energy weapons. They've forgotten how to defend against simple kinetic force. She pulled up a holographic display showing a Dominion bioship. Look at this. Their hulls are designed to absorb and redirect energy, but they're actually quite soft compared to our steel armor. A tungsten rod moving at high speed would punch right through them. Boram smiled. Like using a hammer to crack an egg? Exactly, Dr. Yuna said. Their energy shields can stop plasma beams and particle weapons, but they won't even slow down a chunk of metal. Jinwoo looked out at his fleet again. Each ship represented years of secret work by thousands of people. Earth's best engineers had designed them. The asteroid miners had provided the raw materials. The weapons factories on the far side of the moon had built the guns and ammunition. Open a channel to all ships, he ordered. A communications officer activated the fleet-wide radio system. Jinwoo's voice would now reach every captain and crew member in the Steel Armada. This is Admiral Jinwoo speaking, he began. For 50 years, humanity has prepared for this day. We knew that someday we might face an enemy with technology far beyond our own, so we built these ships using the one thing we know better than anyone else in the galaxy: how to make things strong and simple. He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew. They were all volunteers who had given up normal lives to prepare for this war. The Dominion thinks they've beaten us, Jinwoo continued. They believe their energy weapons and bioships make them unbeatable. They're about to learn that there's nothing more deadly than humans with something to protect. Captain Doan's voice came through the radio from her flagship, the UES Thunderbolt. It had been rebuilt and upgraded with the new magnetic weapon systems. Admiral, all ships report ready to move out, she said. We're loaded for maximum destruction. Good, Jinwoo replied. Set course for Earth. It's time to take our home back. The steel fleet began to move. Unlike the graceful bioships of the Dominion, the human vessels looked like flying mountains. Their engines threw out blue flames as they accelerated toward the inner solar system. On Earth, people looked up at the sky with hope for the first time in weeks. They couldn't see the approaching fleet yet, but word had spread through the underground resistance networks. Humanity's real military was finally coming. The Dominion ships orbiting Earth detected the approaching fleet when it was still 2 days away. General Korthlan, commanding the occupation force, was amused rather than worried. More primitive metal ships, he said to his officers aboard his biocruiser. These humans never learn. We destroyed their first fleet easily. This one will be no different. His tactical officer, a younger alien with bright green skin, studied the sensor readings. General, there are a lot of them. Our sensors count 2,000 ships, Korthlan laughed. Quantity cannot overcome quality. Their weapons proved useless against our biohulls. Send a message to the fleet. We will destroy these metal boxes just like we did the others. But the tactical officer looked troubled. Sir, there's something strange about these ships. Our energy scanners can barely read them. They seem to be made of unusually dense materials. Dense materials mean nothing against plasma weapons, Korthlan said dismissively. Prepare the fleet for battle. This will be another easy victory. Meanwhile, aboard the Steel Fleet's command ship, Lieutenant Bo Young was monitoring Dominion communications. She had learned their language during the occupation and was listening to their battle preparations. Admiral, the aliens are treating this like a routine cleanup operation, she reported. They're not taking us seriously at all. Jinwoo smiled grimly. Good. Overconfidence has been the downfall of many empires. What about their formation? They're spreading out in their standard energy combat pattern, Bo Young replied. Wide spacing to avoid overlapping fire zones. It's perfect for what we have planned. Captain Sungmin nodded from his position at the tactical display. Their ships are positioned exactly where we want them. They're thinking like energy fighters, not kinetic warfare specialists. Dr. Yuna was studying the alien fleet through long-range sensors. Look at how they're moving. Their bioships are designed for energy combat at medium range. They're going to let us get close because they think our weapons can't hurt them. They're right that our old weapons couldn't hurt them, Jinwoo said. But they've never faced weapons like these. He gestured toward the display showing his ship's main guns. They were massive magnetic acceleration cannons that could fire tungsten rods weighing several tons each. When those rods hit something at 30% of light speed, the kinetic energy release was enormous. All ships, this is the Admiral, he announced. We're 6 hours from engagement range. Check your weapon systems and prepare for battle. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every human who has died at the hands of the Dominion. Engineer Boram was making final adjustments to the magnetic acceleration systems. Admiral, I'm showing green lights across all weapon systems. The tungsten penetrators are loaded and ready. Our guided missiles are armed with steel warheads that will fragment on impact. What about the special rounds? Jinwoo asked. Boram smiled. Those are ready too. Pure tungsten rods, each one weighing 5 tons, accelerated to maximum velocity. When they hit, they'll punch through the alien ships like bullets through paper. Captain Da-Un's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, my gunners are eager to show these aliens what human engineering can do. The Thunderbolt is ready to lead the charge. Jinwoo looked out at his steel fleet one more time. In a few hours, they would engage the enemy that had seemed unbeatable just weeks ago. But humanity had learned something important during those dark weeks. Sometimes the best way to fight advanced technology was with simple, brutal force. All ships assume attack formation, he ordered. Today we show the galaxy that humans don't give up. Today we prove that steel and determination can beat any enemy. The 2,000 ships of the Steel Fleet moved into their battle formation, their magnetic guns charging up for the fight of their lives. The battle began at Kepler Station, humanity's furthest outpost in deep space. General Korthlan had moved his fleet there to intercept the approaching human armada before it could reach Earth. He commanded 500 bioships, each one a masterpiece of Dominion technology. Admiral Jinwoo watched the alien fleet through his tactical display. The bioships moved like living creatures, their hulls rippling with bioluminescent patterns. They were beautiful in their own alien way, but Jinwoo felt no admiration for them. These ships had killed millions of humans. Range to target? He asked. 50,000 kilometers and closing, reported Lieutenant Hyun-soo. The aliens are holding their position near the station. Captain Tae-hyun's voice came through the radio from his destroyer squadron. Admiral Steel Rain Squadron is ready to engage. We've got our fastest ships loaded with armor-piercing rounds. Hold position, Jinwoo replied. Let them make the first move. I want to see their full capabilities before we show them ours. General Korthlan stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive biocruiser that looked like a cross between a whale and a warship. His 4 eyes studied the approaching human fleet with amusement. Look at them, he said to his officers. 2,000 metal coffins flying straight into our plasma cannon range. These humans are either very brave or very stupid. His tactical officer, Sub-Commander Yextar, was less confident. General, something seems different about these ships. They're much larger than the human vessels we fought before, and our energy scanners are having trouble reading their power levels. Because they have no real power, Korthlan replied dismissively. Primitive kinetic weapons and chemical rockets. We've seen this technology before on dozens of worlds. It never works against bioships. The general activated his communication system. This is General Korthlan to the human fleet. You have entered Dominion space without permission. Turn back now or face destruction. Admiral Jinwoo's response came immediately. This is Admiral Jinwoo. Kepler Station belongs to humanity. You are the ones who need to leave. Korthlan laughed, a sound like gurgling water. Your first fleet was destroyed easily. This one will suffer the same fate. Last warning, humans. Retreat or die. We choose to fight, Jinwoo replied. Then you choose death, Korthlan said. He cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. All ships prepare to fire. Target their largest vessels first. Show them the power of Dominion plasma cannons. The alien fleet spread out into their battle formation. The bioships began to glow as their energy weapons charged up. Waves of power rippled across their living hulls as they prepared to unleash destruction. Energy spike detected, Lieutenant Hyun-soo announced. All enemy ships are powering weapons. Jinwoo remained calm. All ships prepare to take incoming fire. Armor plating to maximum thickness. Damage control teams to stations. The first plasma barrage lit up space like a miniature sun. Hundreds of energy beams lanced out from the Dominion fleet, crossing the distance between the two forces in seconds. The beams struck the human ships with tremendous force, but something was wrong. The plasma beams that had easily destroyed the first human fleet were having little effect on these new ships. The steel armor plating absorbed the energy and distributed it across the hull. Some ships glowed red-hot where the beams hit them, but none exploded. "Damage report," Jinwoo called out. "Minor hull heating on 17 ships," reported Commander Minho. "No serious damage." "The armor is holding." General Korthlan stared at his displays in shock. "How are they still functioning?" "Our plasma cannons should have melted through their hulls." "General," Subcommander Yextar said urgently, "our sensors indicate their armor is much thicker than we thought. Some sections appear to be over 10 meters of solid steel." "Impossible," Korthlan said. "No ship can carry that much armor and still move." But he was wrong. Human engineers had designed these ships specifically to survive energy weapon attacks. Instead of speed and maneuverability, they had chosen massive armor and overwhelming firepower. "Fire again," Korthlan ordered. "Concentrate all plasma cannons on their flagship." Another wave of energy beams struck the human fleet. This time, hundreds of plasma cannons focused on Admiral Jinwoo's command ship. The vessel's hull turned white-hot under the bombardment, but it continued to function. "Sir, hull temperature rising but within acceptable limits," Engineer Boram reported. "Armor integrity at 95%. Jinwoo smiled. "Their turn is over. Now it's ours. All ships, you are cleared to fire. Show them what real weapons look like." The order went out across the steel fleet. 2,000 ships activated their magnetic acceleration systems simultaneously. The space around the human fleet began to hum with electromagnetic energy as the weapons charged up. Captain Da-un was the first to fire. "Thunderbolt engaging enemy flagship," she announced. Firing full spread of tungsten penetrators. 6 massive projectiles shot out from her ship's main guns. They were simple tungsten rods, each one weighing 5 tons and accelerated to 30% of light speed by magnetic fields. There was nothing fancy about them, just dense metal moving incredibly fast. General Korthlan watched the projectiles approach on his sensors. "Kinetic rounds," he said dismissively. "Our energy shields will stop them easily." But when the tungsten rods hit the bioship's shields, they didn't stop. The energy barriers that could deflect plasma beams offered no resistance to solid matter. The rods punched through the shields like they weren't there. The first rod struck the bioship's hull and kept going. It passed completely through the vessel, leaving a perfectly round hole 20 meters wide. The second rod hit the ship's power core, causing massive explosions throughout the hull. The third rod severed the ship's main nerve clusters, killing its ability to heal itself. In 10 seconds, the Dominion flagship was destroyed. "Impossible," Korthlan gasped as his ship began to break apart around him. This cannot be happening. But it was happening across the entire alien fleet. The human ships were firing continuously now, their magnetic guns hurling tons of metal at relativistic speeds. Each projectile carried the kinetic energy of a nuclear weapon, but focused into a tiny point. Captain Tae-hyun led his destroyer squadron in a concentrated attack on the alien cruisers. "Steel rain engaging enemy formation 7, he reported. Firing guided missiles with fragmenting warheads. The human missiles were different from anything the Dominion had seen before. Instead of explosive warheads, they carried steel pellets that scattered on impact. When they hit the bioships, thousands of metal fragments punched through the hulls like machine gun bullets. Gunnery Sergeant So Young was having the time of her life aboard the UES Hammerfall. Her ship's main guns were firing non-stop, each shot sending a tungsten penetrator straight through an enemy vessel. "Target destroyed," she announced cheerfully, moving to next target. These aliens really don't know how to build proper armor. The Dominion fleet was in chaos. Ships that had seemed invincible were being torn apart by simple kinetic weapons. Their biohulls, designed to absorb energy and heal from damage, had no defense against chunks of metal moving at incredible speeds. Subcommander Yextar tried to organize a counterattack. "All ships focus fire on the human destroyers. Try to overwhelm their armor with concentrated plasma." But it was too late. The human fleet had spread out and was attacking from multiple directions. Every time the aliens tried to concentrate their fire, more tungsten rods would tear through their formations. Commander Min-ho led a squadron of torpedo ships in a close-range attack. "Torpedo wing engaging enemy rearguard," he reported. "Launching steel core warheads." The torpedoes streaked toward their targets, each one carrying a solid steel core surrounded by chemical explosives. When they hit the bioships, the explosives would drive the steel cores deep into the hulls like giant bullets. Admiral Jin Woo watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The Dominion ships that had seemed so powerful were proving helpless against human kinetic weapons. Their energy shields were useless, their biohulls couldn't heal fast enough, and their plasma cannons couldn't penetrate the thick steel armor of the human ships. "Status report," he called out. "We've destroyed 300 enemy vessels," Lieutenant Hyun-soo replied. "Estimated enemy strength down to 200 ships. Our losses are minimal, only 12 ships damaged, none destroyed." General Korthland's voice came over the radio, broadcasting on all frequencies. "All Dominion ships retreat immediately. The humans have weapons we cannot counter. Fall back to the secondary fleet." The surviving bioships began to flee, their graceful forms now seeming desperate as they tried to escape the human guns. But even in retreat, they were vulnerable. The magnetic cannons could fire at extreme ranges, and tungsten rods traveled much faster than the bioships could move. Captain Da-Yun continued firing even as the aliens fled. Thunderbolt pursuing fleeing enemies. No one leaves without paying for what they did to our colonies. More bioships were destroyed as they tried to escape. The few that made it to the edge of the system broadcast warnings to the rest of the Dominion fleet, telling them about the terrifying new human weapons. When the battle was over, Admiral Jin Woo stood on his bridge and looked out at the wreckage floating in space. Hundreds of bioships had been reduced to debris fields. News of humanity's victory at Kepler Station spread across the galaxy, faster than light itself. On 1,000 different worlds, species that had lived under Dominion rule for centuries suddenly heard something they had never expected. The mighty bioships could be defeated. Ambassador Kang Dae sat in a hidden meeting room on the planet Centros, talking with representatives from a dozen alien species. The room was deep underground, away from Dominion sensors. For the first time in 50 years, the resistance leaders were smiling. "Is it true?" asked Council Elder Zephys, leader of the peaceful Centauri people. His blue skin was pale with excitement. "Did the humans really destroy 300 bioships?" "It's true," Kang Dae confirmed. "Our steel fleet used kinetic weapons, simple metal projectiles moving at incredible speeds. The Dominion's energy shields couldn't stop them." War Chief Gromax slammed his massive fist on the table. The Orkani leader had been enslaved for 500 years, forced to fight in Dominion gladiator pits. His people were warriors by nature, but they had never found a way to fight the bioships effectively. "Metal bullets," Gromax said with wonder. "Why did no one think of this before?" "Because we all tried to match their technology," replied tech leader Vyrix of the spider-like arachnid collective. "We built energy weapons to fight energy weapons. We never considered going backwards to kinetic force." Ambassador Kang Dae pulled out a data tablet showing technical specifications. Humanity spent 50 years preparing for this war. While the Dominion perfected their bioships, we perfected the art of throwing very large, very fast pieces of metal. The alien representatives leaned forward eagerly. For centuries, they had tried to rebel against the Dominion only to be crushed by superior technology. Now for the first time they had hope. "Will humanity share this knowledge?" asked Elder Zephys. "That's exactly why I'm here," Kang Dae replied. "Admiral Jin Woo has authorized me to offer a full technology exchange. We'll provide the designs for magnetic acceleration weapons and steel ship construction. In return, we ask for your help in fighting the Dominion." War Chief Gromax stood up, his 7-foot frame towering over the table. "The Orkani accept. We have warriors ready to fight. Give us these metal weapons and we will show the Dominion the fury of free beings." Captain Yunji was leading a very different kind of mission halfway across the galaxy. Her small fleet of human ships was raiding Dominion supply lines, using hit-and-run tactics to disrupt their war effort. "Target acquired," reported pilot Dongwook from his fighter cockpit. "Dominion supply convoy, 12 ships lightly defended. Move in fast and hit hard," Yunji ordered. "Remember, we want their supplies, not their destruction." The human fighters swooped down on the bioships like metal hawks. Their magnetic weapons fired short bursts, disabling the convoy's engines without destroying the vessels completely. It was surgical precision that the Dominion had never seen before. The alien crews surrendered quickly. They had heard about Kepler Station and knew that fighting humans was now extremely dangerous. Better to give up and hope for mercy than to face those terrible kinetic weapons. "Captain, we've secured enough raw materials to build 50 new ships," reported Lieutenant Han Sol from the boarding party. Plus, we found something interesting in their databanks. What kind of interesting? Yunji asked. Intelligence reports about other species starting to rebel. Apparently, our victory inspired more than just the resistance groups. Entire star systems are beginning to refuse Dominion orders. Back on Earth, Admiral Jinwoo was coordinating the massive expansion of humanity's steel fleet. The asteroid mining operations had been increased tenfold. New shipyards were being built throughout the solar system. Every available resource was being converted into ships, weapons, and ammunition. Engineer Boram approached him with the latest production reports. Admiral, we're now building 100 ships per month. The new magnetic acceleration systems are 30% more powerful than the original designs. Good, Jinwoo replied. What about our alien allies? The Orkani have completed their first steel warship, Boram reported. They call it the Freedom's Hammer. War Chief Gromax insisted on personally testing its weapons systems. Jinwoo smiled. The Orkani were natural warriors, and they had taken to human weapons technology with enthusiasm. Their first ship was crude compared to human designs, but it was functional and deadly. The Centauri are having more trouble, Boram continued. They're a peaceful species, so building weapons is difficult for them. But they're excellent engineers. They've improved our shield designs and created better armor plating. Dr. Yuna joined the conversation, carrying data pads with intelligence reports. Admiral, we're getting reports from across the galaxy. At least 50 star systems have declared independence from the Dominion. Most of them are asking for human military advisors. Can we spare the personnel? Jinwoo asked. We're sending small teams of engineers and tacticians, Dr. Yuna replied. They're teaching local species how to build kinetic weapons and organize defensive fleets. The rebellion was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Species that had been oppressed for centuries were suddenly finding the courage to fight back. The key was humanity's willingness to share their technology freely, unlike the Dominion, which had always hoarded its secrets. On the planet Xerion, a species called the Crystalline Builders were constructing their first kinetic weapons factory. Their bodies were made of living crystal, which made them excellent at precision engineering. Within weeks, they were producing magnetic cannons that were even more accurate than human designs. The spider-like arachnids used their natural web-spinning abilities to create new types of armor. Their steel ships were covered in metal webbing that could absorb impact and redirect kinetic force away from vital areas. Even the peaceful Centauri found ways to contribute. They developed advanced sensors that could track bioships from incredible distances, giving the resistance fleets early warning of Dominion attacks. Empress Vextara sat on her throne aboard the massive biofortress World Eater, reviewing reports from across her empire. The news was universally bad. Rebellions were breaking out everywhere, and her forces were struggling to contain them. How many systems have we lost this month? She asked her military advisor, Bio Admiral Scythemar. 47 confirmed, Your Majesty, the admiral replied nervously, with 13 more showing signs of unrest. The humans' kinetic weapons are spreading faster than we can counter them. Vextara's 6 arms writhed with anger. She had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years, and never before had her authority been challenged so effectively. What about our scientists? Can't they develop defenses against these primitive weapons? They're trying, Your Majesty, Scythemar said. But kinetic weapons are different. Our bioships evolved to fight energy-based threats. Defending against solid projectiles requires completely different technology. Then develop it, Vextara ordered. I don't care what it costs. I will not lose my empire to these metal-throwing primitives. But developing new technology takes time, and time was something the Dominion didn't have. Every day, more species joined the rebellion. Every week, new fleets of steel ships appeared to challenge Dominion authority. Ambassador Kang Day was now traveling between star systems, coordinating the growing alliance. He had established what he called the Steel Pact, a formal agreement between all species fighting against the Dominion using kinetic weapons. We're not trying to build another empire, he explained to a gathering of alien leaders. We're trying to ensure that no one can ever build an empire like the Dominion again. The aliens appreciated this approach. Unlike the Dominion, which ruled through fear and superior technology, humanity offered partnership and shared knowledge. Any species that wanted to join the Steel Pact could do so as an equal member. War Chief Gromax had become one of humanity's strongest supporters. His Orkani warriors were natural fighters, And they loved the simplicity of kinetic weapons. Point at enemy, pull trigger, enemy dies, he explained to his troops. No complex energy matrices, no bio-neural interfaces. Just good, honest destruction. The Orkani fleet had grown to over 200 ships, all armed with human-designed magnetic cannons. They specialized in close-range combat, using their natural aggression to devastating effect against Dominion forces. Captain Unji's raids were becoming bolder and more successful. Her small fleet had grown into a major strike force, supported by ships from a dozen different species. They moved through Dominion space like ghosts, appearing suddenly to destroy supply convoys and military outposts. "We're not just winning battles," she reported to Admiral Jin Woo during a secure communication. "We're changing how warfare works in this galaxy." The Dominion's entire military doctrine is based on energy weapon superiority. They don't know how to fight kinetic-based fleets. Pilot Dong-wook had become something of a legend among the resistance forces. His fighter squadron, the Steelhawks, had never lost a battle. Their tactics were simple but effective. Use speed and precision to deliver kinetic weapons at close range, then escape before the enemy could respond. "The key is not to fight like them," Dong-wook explained to a group of alien pilots. "Don't try to match their energy weapons or outmaneuver their bioships." The final battle took place at the galactic core, where massive stars burned bright and space itself seemed to pulse with energy. Here the Dominion had built their greatest weapon, the World Eater, a biofortress so large it could be seen from several star systems away. Fleet Admiral Jin Woo stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the UES Terra's Hammer. Around him stretched the largest fleet in human history, 10,000 ships from dozens of different species, all united under the Steel Pact. Every vessel bristled with kinetic weapons, their hulls gleaming with steel armor. "Final head count, Admiral," reported Captain Da-un from her position at the tactical station. 10,300 ships total, 2,000 human vessels, 8,000 from allied species. All ships report ready for battle. Jin Woo nodded grimly. It was an impressive force, but he knew what they were facing. Through the main view screen he could see the World Eater hanging in space like a dark planet. It was over 1,000 kilometers long, its bio-hull pulsing with the light of the captured star that powered it. "Enemy fleet strength?" he asked. 15,000 bioships, Da-un replied, including 50 World Eaters of various sizes. Intelligence reports they're powered by living stars capable of energy outputs we've never seen before. General Hyojin approached from the marine section of the bridge. She would be leading the boarding parties if they could get close enough to the enemy fortresses. "Sir, our assault teams are ready. We've studied the bioship layouts from captured vessels. We know where their nerve centers are located." "Good," Jinwoo said. "But remember, our priority is destroying these things, not capturing them. The Dominion has had 3,000 years to perfect their biotechnology. We can't afford to take chances." Chief Engineer Wanbin joined the group, carrying a tablet with technical readouts. He had spent the last months working on humanity's most ambitious project yet. A weapon designed not to fight ships, but to crack open the World Eaters themselves. "Admiral, Project Stellar Breaker is ready for deployment," Wanbin reported. "We've converted 50 of our largest ships into pure kinetic bombardment platforms. Each one carries a single massive magnetic cannon capable of firing a tungsten rod, weighing 50 tons at 40% of light speed." Jinwoo felt a surge of fierce pride. Human engineering had come a long way since the first alien attack. "What kind of damage are we talking about?" "Each shot will have the kinetic energy of a small star going supernova," Wanbin explained, "concentrated into a projectile the size of a telephone pole. Even the World Eater's biohulls can't absorb that much force." Captain Sungmin's voice came through the communication system from his position commanding the heavy assault group. "Admiral, Iron Thunder Squadron is in position. We're loaded with our heaviest armor-piercing rounds." War Chief Gromax's growling voice followed. "Orkani fleet ready for glory. We will show these bioships what real warriors look like." Council Elder Zephys added his calm tones. "Centauri Defense Squadron prepared. Our improved sensors are tracking all enemy movements." Across the massive Allied fleet, similar reports came in from dozens of species. The spider-like arachnids with their web armor ships, the crystalline builders with their precision weapons, the gas giant dwellers with their atmospheric fighters, all united against the Dominion. On the World Eater's command center, Empress Vextara watched the approaching fleet through bioneural displays that showed every detail of the enemy ships. Her 6 arms moved nervously as she studied the readings. Bio-Admiral Sithmar, explain to me how these primitives managed to assemble such a large fleet, she demanded. Your Majesty, they've been very effective at convincing other species to join their rebellion. Sithmar replied carefully. Our intelligence suggests they're sharing their kinetic weapons technology freely. Fools, Vextara hissed. Don't they understand that advanced species should rule over primitive ones? It's the natural order. Perhaps, Your Majesty, the Bio-Admiral said, but their kinetic weapons have proven surprisingly effective against our bioships. Vexitara's eyes flashed with anger. Not today. Today we unleash the full power of the World Eaters. These metal ships will be vaporized by stellar fire. The battle began when the Dominion fleet moved forward to engage. The World Eaters stayed back, their massive forms pulsing with the power of captured stars. Smaller bioships, each one still larger than most human vessels, advanced in perfect formation. Enemy fleet moving to attack position, reported Lieutenant Hyun-Soo. Range 50,000 kilometers and closing. All ships, this is Admiral Jin-Woo, he announced to the entire fleet. Today we fight not just for our own freedom, but for every species that has suffered under Dominion rule. Show them that unity and determination can overcome any technology. The Dominion opened fire first. Thousands of plasma cannons discharged simultaneously, sending waves of pure energy across space. But the steel-packed fleet was ready. Instead of trying to avoid the beams, they flew straight into them. The thick armor plating that covered every Allied ship began to glow as it absorbed the energy. Some smaller vessels took heavy damage, but none were destroyed. The lessons learned at Kepler Station had been applied across the entire fleet. Return fire, Jin-Woo ordered. 10,000 ships opened fire at once. The space between the two fleets filled with kinetic projectiles, tungsten rods, steel penetrators, guided missiles with metal warheads. It was the largest kinetic bombardment in galactic history. The Dominion bioships, expecting another energy weapon exchange, were caught completely off guard. The first wave of projectiles punched through their formations like bullets through tissue paper. Hundreds of bioships were destroyed in the opening salvo. Direct hit on enemy Formation 7, reported Captain Dayun. 30 bioships destroyed, more severely damaged. War Chief Gromax led his Orkani fleet in a brutal close-range attack. For 500 years of slavery, he roared over the radio as his ships charged into the enemy formation. Today the Orkani are free. The Orkani ships were smaller than most in the fleet, but they were fast and heavily armed. They dove into the Dominion formations like hunting wolves, their magnetic cannons firing continuously. Pilot Dong-wook was leading his Steelhawk squadron against enemy cruisers. Hawks engaging biocruiser formation, he reported. These things are big, but they can't track our fighters. The human fighters were tiny compared to the bioships, but they carried kinetic weapons capable of punching through cruiser hulls. They darted between the larger vessels like angry hornets, striking at weak points and escaping before the enemy could respond. But the real shock came when the World Eaters joined the battle. The massive biofortresses began to charge their stellar weapons, cannons powered by the nuclear fire of captured stars. When they fired, the energy beams were so powerful they could vaporize entire squadrons. World Eater is targeting our center formation, Captain Dayun announced urgently. All ships evasive maneuvers. The stellar beam lanced out across space, a column of pure nuclear fire. It struck a group of Centauri ships and simply erased them from existence. The peaceful aliens died instantly. Their vessels turned to vapor by stellar energy. We can't let them keep firing those things, Jin-Woo said grimly.
Bin, is Stellar Breaker ready?
Yes, sir, the chief engineer replied. All 50 bombardment ships are in position. Fire. The Stellar Breaker ships launched their massive projectiles simultaneously. 50 tungsten rods, each weighing 50 tons and moving at nearly half the speed of light, streaked toward the nearest World Eater. The biofortress tried to defend itself. Energy shields flared to life around its hull, and point defense weapons fired desperately at the incoming projectiles. But kinetic weapons moving that fast were impossible to stop. The first rod punched through the World Eater's shields like they weren't there. It struck the biohull and kept going, drilling a hole through the entire fortress. The second rod hit the creature's nerve center, disrupting its ability to control itself. The third struck the captured star at its core. The explosion was visible from the other side of the galaxy. The World Eater's biohull couldn't contain the nuclear fire when the star destabilized. In seconds, the massive fortress tore itself apart from the inside out. World Eater destroyed, Dayun announced with satisfaction. Stellar Breaker is effective. But there were 49 more World Eaters in the Dominion fleet, and they were all targeting the steel-packed ships now. Beams of stellar fire crisscrossed space, destroying Allied vessels by the dozens. General Hyojin saw her chance. "Admiral, if we can get boarding parties onto those fortresses, we can sabotage them from the inside." "Too dangerous," Jinwoo replied. "Those things are crawling with Dominion troops." "Sir, we've studied their layouts," Hyojin insisted. "I know where their weak points are." "Give me a chance," Jinwoo looked at the tactical display. They were losing ships faster than they could destroy World Eaters with kinetic bombardment. "Do it. Take whatever ships you need." General Hyojin led her assault teams in fast attack ships designed for boarding operations. They were small and heavily armored, capable of surviving close approach to the biofortresses. "Marine Assault Group engaging World Eater designated Target 3, she reported, beginning boarding operations.